So we marked this up, but what we want to do is look at these bits in general. So the notion is interrupt masking. Okay, when the interrupts are masked, that means there may be an interrupt, there may be an assertion on that INTR pin, but the processor is going to ignore it. Okay, so the processor has the ability to ignore or accept interrupts based on program control. So if it's ignoring interrupts, that means interrupts are masked. If it's accepting interrupts, that means the interrupts are unmasked. And that's official language on this thing. So this is something you need to understand on a hardware level, and it is all based on this one register here, which is the CSR M status register. So this is official RISC-V stuff. We didn't make this up, but these are official RISC-V bits. But there's a register, CSR M status, but there's 2 bits in there. So this one, hang on, let me get a pointer. This one more time. Pen. Okay, so this bit right here is kind of the master interrupt enable. When you see it, MIE. M stands for machine, but you can consider it master. But this MIE bit was what's feeding out of that CSR module, and it's feeding into that AND gate. And I'm gonna go ahead and show that to you. So it's this thing right here. That's coming out of the CSR unit. It's bit 3 of that CSR status register. And what it's going to do is turn this AND gate on and off. Okay, that's all it is. It's simple, 133 math on this thing. If that bit is a 0, that interrupt will never make it through to the state machine. So the state machine will never see the interrupt, so it'll never act on it. Okay, but if it's unmasked, unmasked means writing at a 1. Great. Okay, and it can accept interrupts. But when I get an interrupt, it's going to take this bit and it's going to copy it to this bit. Okay, and so when I leave the okay, not necessarily, it has to be a 1 because I got an interrupt. So this is a 1. But on the end, when I hit an MRET, when I'm leaving interrupt, it's going to take this bit and copy it to that bit. Okay, and then if I don't do anything, it's going to return from the interrupt service routine with the bits, with the interrupts unmasked. They're going to be enabled. Okay, so great, but if I want to return from the interrupt service routine with the interrupts the mask inside the interrupt service routine, I got to clear this bit. Okay, and you saw that in the test code. It's just this test right here. I'm clearing that bit. This is the fact of I'm clearing this bit. And what happens is when I execute the MRET, part of the MRET functionality is just take that instruction, take that bit, and copy it back to MIE. So if I don't do anything, MIE1 gets copied to MPIE, and then the MPIE gets copied to the MIE upon return. Okay, and so if I don't do anything, I return from the interrupts enabled. Yeah, otherwise, if I want it to return from the interrupt service routine with the interrupts disabled, I've got to clear this bit, which I can do under program control. Okay, so yeah, there it is. This is the bit coming out of this thing, and all I'm bringing out the MIE. So if this bit's a 0, this will always be a 0. If this bit's a 1, it will allow this signal to pass through to the state machine. Anyway, so that's really the interrupt architecture. When I start dealing with the interrupt architecture, I understand exactly what's going on. There's really not that much there. There's 6 things here. 4 for when I act on an interrupt, and 2 for when I return from an interrupt. So let's go over them. So the interrupts, I act on an interrupt. So what happens is, first thing is, the interrupts are disabled. Okay, that means I automatically in hardware, I want to prevent the processor from acting on future interrupts. So what happens is the MIE bit is magically cleared. But I should put these in a different order. Before it's cleared, the MIE bit is copied to MPIE. Okay, so it should be, first thing that happens is 2, and the second thing that happens is 1. The next thing is I'm going to take the address of the instruction that would have been implemented had I not got an interrupt, and I'm going to put it in MEPC. So this is necessarily the return address. So when I exit the interrupt service routine, the address of that instruction, wherever it is going to be put into the program counter. So once again, this is essentially the saving the return address. And I do get an interrupt here, so one of the first things I did in the initialization part of my subroutine is to put the address of the interrupt service routine into one of those CSR registers. So to actually go to that subroutine, the hardware is going to load the address of that interrupt service routine into the PC, and then I go there and do it. Okay, so then it's just a normal subroutine after that. But when I'm done, I've got to do I got to do two things here. What it's going to do is going to take what I put in MPIE and automatically copy it back to MIE. Okay, so if I don't do anything there, the interrupts I got there because the interrupts are enabled. They are going to be copied back to MIE, and they're going to return from the interrupt service routine with the interrupts enabled. Okay, that's one thing. And the next thing is that I'm returning from the interrupt service routine. It's going to take the address, which is that return address. That's the address of the instruction that would have been implemented had I not got an interrupt. It's going to put that into the PC. Okay, and so essentially what happens is a hardware signal says get an interrupt. I go magically vector to that interrupt, that special subroutine. I do all that stuff, and then I come back, and an execution is going to resume at the instruction following the instruction that would have been implemented had I not got an interrupt. Well, this is experiment 7. I think I can crank through this. I wanted to keep it sort of short, but essentially what you're going to do is add interrupts to the RISC-V. And so there's four more instructions that you have to implement. To be able to do this, you do need to understand the interrupt architecture, and there's a bunch of hardware changes you need to make. Most of them, well, I think the hardware on a high level is shown in the second more complicated schematic, which we'll be using for now on. And then what you want to do is, this is a test-only program. You want to simulate it to show that your new instructions actually worked 100%. Certainly part of turning this in is to annotate the simulations to show you, to show that you understand what's going on and that the instructions actually work. So the three modules, there's three main themes to this thing. One is put in that new module, and the CSR module, known to work, and it's provided for you. You got to throw these four and implement these 4 instructions. I encourage you to tell you that these are normal instructions. They have nothing to do with the interrupt cycle, and to keep them very separate. These are 4 instruction types. I always made a new instruction type for them since they do have the same lower level opcodes. The first 7 bits are the same for all these instructions, so that's how you should implement this. That goes for both control units. And this you need to add this thing in there as well. You need to add a new state, and it's kind of tricky. And I think when you get to the point of doing this, I suggest you ask me, and I can help you, show you all the tricks to make this work very, very easily. Okay. If not, it's very doable in other ways, but I think I can make it easier for you. So there is a couple instructions here. Look, this is the they're kind of funny instructions, but this is the CSR RW instruction, and it's a control status register. It's a read and a write. You can see the read and the write sitting there. What it's going to do is it's going to take the value in a given register, take that value and store it in memory. So it's going to read it and store it, and then it's going to write a new value to it, okay, which is how the instruction works. But we actually never use the value read in this thing, and oftentimes we just set it equal to x0 so we don't have to worry about it. So these is CSR read. It's going to read what's in the register, and then it's going to set a bit. Okay, this is going to read what's in a register. Generally speaking, for both these reads, we just set the register it's going to read into to x0 because we're not really interested in it for what we're doing. But this is read register and clear a bit. So these three instructions are write a whole new value, set a bit in a known register, or clear a bit in a known register. And so essentially the last thing here is the mret instruction. It just returns from the ISR, and there's not a lot to this. Most of it's done in hardware. These are a little bit more tricky because you do have to, I'm going to find this a little bit here. You do have to increase the size of this thing, increase the size of this mux, and increase the size of this mux in there. So once you do that, it makes everything work, and there's going to be more on that in later. So this is CSR RW mret instruction. So the instruction itself, you can see it's actually doing some reading, and then it's also setting a value into a register. So this is the new value that you're going to put into the register. This is the value that it's going to read from that register and save it. Very, very typically, we're not interested in the read value, so we set that equal to 0. This is the value, particularly this instruction. It's going to take that entire register and write it to whatever register you call out. When I execute the mret, it's going to do two things. It's going to copy, and it's done in hardware. It's going to copy the MPIE bit to MIE, and it's going to take that return address, which was stored at MPEC, and put it in the PC. And so those are those two instructions, very, very similar to instructions we've used before in this thing. So these are the two CSR registers. This is a read and a set, and this is a read and a clear. Okay, and it's nothing. It's stuff like before. Like, how do I clear a bit? Well, let's see. This is the clear down here. Look, I and it, and you can see the and sitting there on this thing. How do I set a bit? Well, I OR it with a 1, and then that's sitting on this thing. Now, the interesting thing about these instructions, and it reads the register too, and typically we just make that x0 so we don't have to worry about it. But these instructions here these bits for both these instructions. It's going to call out the bits that I need to set are clear. So it's really kind of confusing. So in the set instruction, where the ones in this value here are going to be set in that status register, the ones in this value right here are going to be cleared in that status register. So it's a little bit confusing on this thing, but here are the two bits I'm interested in. This is the master interrupt enable, and this is the temporary one. So once again, when I get an interrupt, it's going to copy this one to that one. When I return from interrupt, it's going to copy that one back to that one. This is experiment 7 as given to you. What you want, the instructions in red are the instructions you want that you're going to implement. And I put them in red because it's really straightforward how to do this thing. I mean, by this time you know this stuff is going to work, but what you want to verify is that the address of the interrupt service chain actually got put into that register. So you can go look at those registers. If you see the address ISR in that register MTVEC, well, you think it works. Okay, this is the CSR, this is the set instruction. What I want to do is set the MIE bit. Well, I go look at the M status register and verify that the MIE bit got set. And this is all simulated too. Okay, all good. And then I guess I'm gonna send it an interrupt, And once I get the interrupt, I want to make sure I got here. And then I want to make sure I was able to clear. There's my clear that MPIE bit, which is defined by this thing. And then all good. And then I want to make sure I can, the MRET works. The MRET is going to take, it's going to send me back. It's going to take what I stored when I got an interrupt, the value in the MEPC, and it's going to put it back into the PC. That's one thing. It's going to take the value in MPIE and put that into MIE. I want to verify both those things. And so then it's all good. I'm going to come down here, and then I'm going to come down here, and then I'm going to turn the interrupts back on and then jump back to this thing. I want to verify everything in red actually worked in the simulation. If it didn't work, I'm going to go fix it. This is the code that this generates. What's nice about this code is the what I'm interested in is the address. So it's going to be stuck. It's going to be stuck right here after I do all the initialization stuff. But when I get an interrupt, it's going to vector down to the interrupt, blah, blah, blah. And then when I hit the M return on here, it's going to come back to one of these instructions. So you're required to write the test bench for this. And that idea of the test bench is you want to turn the test bench on and wait. You got to wait for all this stuff to be done. So you got to wait a while. This is all the initialization stuff. And the last part of the initialization is to enable the interrupts. Once you do that, you want to turn the interrupts on and verify the rest of the stuff happens. So wait a while. It's not a matter of resetting it and then turning the interrupts on. You got to wait a while. And what you're waiting for is for these instructions to actually turn on. Yeah, so the general idea is you're going to add the interrupt support instructions, verify they work. And the test bench, like anything, you're going to hit it with a reset. Wait a while for everything to get initialized and stable, and then you're going to generate an interrupt. And after that point, you're going to show it can jump to the interrupt, set all the bits, jump back from the interrupt in an intelligent fashion, and that's it. Okay, so I'm going to show one more thing on this thing. So the things we added to this gate are this lot of for the two CSR instructions. It is actually going to use the ALU for the and and or. Lost my pointer here. Lost my pointer. For the and or, and it's all sitting in there. So the CSR and or operations are going to be when I do the and, I'm gonna toggle what I'm anding it with, which creates the mask. When I do the or, it's just a normal straightforward thing. But I do need to operate on what's coming out of the CSR unit. Remember, if I'm setting a bit, I need to know the data to set it in. And so this is from the CSR unit. I'm going to add this signal to get a complement, and then this is already there. I'm going to use that signal as well. And since that's it, folks.